Hello, and welcome back to the Recruiting Solutions Podcast. I'm your host, the founder and CEO of Recruiting Solutions, James Welch. And today we're going to explore a topic that's central not just to military recruiting, but to all forms of sales. And that is world-class customer service. I'll be drawing from some lessons from my recent book, The Art of Military Recruiting. And we're going to discuss how some of the principles of exceptional service can transform both your recruitment efforts and your sales results. And again, whether you're in civilian sales or military recruiting, the core concept is the same. Providing a positive experience builds trust, it builds loyalty, and it builds long-term relationships. So today we're going to break down these principles and show how you can apply them to your work, no matter what industry you're in. So let's get started. Let's begin with the foundational concept that we're discussing here. And that is why world-class customer service is so important. In the business world, companies like Chick-fil-A excel because they don't just sell products. They sell experiences. That experience is what keeps customers coming back again and again. And even better, it inspires them to recommend those businesses to their family and friends. The same idea applies in military recruiting. But here's the key takeaway. Customer service isn't just about completing a transaction. It's about creating an ongoing relationship. Now, I served for many years in military recruiting, and that concept was something that seemed to be lost on many people, particularly the recruiting side of the house. But it's an important concept to understand, and the same idea is true for sales professionals. Now, I explained this a little bit in my book. Recruiting and sales is a human endeavor. And when done correctly, you treat applicants with respect and professionalism, which in turn leads to higher enlistment rates, reduced attrition, and powerful referrals. Now, for civilian sales professionals, it doesn't matter what you're selling. It could be software, real estate, anything else. But the same principle applies. Treating your clients as humans, understanding their needs, and ensuring that you deliver an exceptional experience will not only close the sale, but also build a long-lasting relationship that can drive referrals and bring you repeat business. Now let's dive a little bit deeper into this concept with a discussion on empathy and listening, because really that can shape a world-class experience for military recruits and sales clients. And in sales, you sometimes hear people talk about understanding the pain points of customers. Well, the same is true in recruiting. It's the same idea. You've got to understand the passions and the goals of your prospective recruits. When you understand what drives someone, what excites them, what they care about, now you can connect the dots between their goals and their passions and how your service can help them achieve those goals. So in this regard, empathy isn't just about listening and understanding. It's really about truly engaging with the individual at a deeper level to understand their motivations and not just to give them a hard sell. For our civilian sales professionals, this is also crucial. By listening deeply and asking the right questions, you can begin to uncover your client's true needs. If you're selling a product or a service, it's important to show them how what you're offering aligns with their long-term goals and their needs. And that could be anything from improving their business processes, enhancing their lifestyle, helping them achieve more success, whatever it is. If you can show your prospect how your product or service directly contributes to their goals, they're going to be much more likely to buy and perhaps even recommend you to others. Another key element of world-class customer service is professionalism. And that sounds pretty simple, but it's extremely important. In the world of recruiting, those first impressions are absolutely critical. I stress this a lot in my book, that recruiters have to present themselves with the same level of professionalism expected from service members whom they represent. It could be something as simple as your physical presentation and the condition of your workspace. Those things reflect the respect that you have for your branch of service, for the prospective recruit, and for the process. If a military recruiter shows up and they've got a disheveled uniform and a messy desk, really, what kind of message does that send? Conversely, when you have a clean uniform and an organized environment, that conveys a message of professionalism and respect and attention to detail, which is probably one of the things that your prospective applicant is looking for. And here's the direct connection to civilian sales. Professionalism is non-negotiable, no matter what you're selling. How you dress, how you carry yourself, the environment in which you meet clients, that all matters. If you've got a well-groomed appearance, you're on time, you work in a clean, organized environment, that sends a message to your client that you value their time and you take your job seriously. And that extends beyond your personal appearance too. Do you have a clean office? Is your desk organized? Is your professional vehicle clean and presentable? All those things are going to create a sense of trustworthiness and reliability. And when your clients see that you're organized and professional, that's going to build their confidence in you and your ability to deliver for them. And again, that doesn't matter whether you're a military recruiter or you're a civilian salesman closing a big deal. That professionalism matters. Now let's talk about clear communication, because this is another pillar of world-class customer service, and it's a universal principle. Communication is critical, especially when there's delays or hiccups or roadblocks in your sales process. Now, on the military side, you've got to keep your prospective recruits informed every step of the way. If things go wrong in the enlistment process, you got to be transparent and honest and communicate with the recruit. And I talk about this in my book. I share a hypothetical story about a recruit named Jimmy Roberts. And in this story, Jimmy has a horrible experience, really because of poor communication from his recruiter. Everything from late appointments to miscommunication, it all led to distrust. And ultimately, Jimmy chose to enlist with a competing service. And for our sales professionals, that scenario should sound familiar. Because if you're not consistently updating your prospects, and it could be anything, it could be changes in timelines or product features or shipping delays, whatever it is, if you're not communicating those things, you're going to lose the client's trust because they want to be kept in the loop. They want to be. So whether it's closing the deal, product delivery, whatever it is, your transparency and your timely communication are going to be essential for building those long-term relationships. Now, finally, let's talk about family engagement and accountability. For our military recruiters, keeping parents involved from the beginning of the process is absolutely crucial, especially when you're dealing with younger recruits who are still in high school. But I would argue for civilian sales, you got to think about the decision makers behind the scenes who may not be the person you're directly meeting with. And I talk about this again in my book, the importance of keeping parents informed and engaged. If you involve parents early and keep them informed, that's going to ensure the recruit stays committed. Because when it comes down to it, those 9 times out of 10, those recruits are looking towards their parents to help them make that final decision about enlistment. So you got to make sure they're involved and you're communicating with them. And for our sales professionals, this principle also translates because you got to understand who the decision makers are in the buying process. And sometimes it's not the person sitting in front of you. It could be their spouse. It could be a business partner. It could be other stakeholders. But you got to understand that and keep your eyes open for who those real decision makers are. And once you identify them, keep them informed. Build trust with them. When you do that, it's going to keep everyone on board with the decision. And as for accountability, you've got to follow through. And that could be whether you're following up with recruits or keeping them engaged, addressing concerns. The same level of accountability has to happen in sales too. You got to follow up with leads. You got to check in on your clients after the sale. You got to ensure they're happy with the service or product they purchased. Because when you do that, that's going to increase their satisfaction and generate more referrals. And if you think about it from your perspective as a client, thinking, all the purchases you may have made in recent years, how many times has a salesperson actually followed up with you to make sure that you're satisfied, that your purchase is still working the way it's supposed to? Unfortunately, that's a rare occurrence, but when it does happen, you're far more likely to go back to that salesperson or that company for your next purchase. So always keep that in mind when you're on the sales side as well. Follow-up is crucial. And to wrap up today's episode, here's the final takeaway. World-class customer service isn't just about meeting the needs of the recruit. It's about building relationships. It's about making each recruit or client feel valued and respected from that first initial meeting, and then creating the environment where they feel proud to be part of something bigger than themselves. And whether you're recruiting for the military or working in civilian sales, world-class customer service is what builds trust. It improves client retention, and it's going to drive more referrals. So when you treat your prospect and your clients with professionalism, empathy, and transparency, ultimately you're going to turn one-time transactions into long-lasting relationships that's going to bring business back to you again and again and again. The bottom line is this: world-class customer service matters, and it has to always be on your mind when dealing with clients. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of the Recruiting Solutions Podcast. I hope these insights will help you understand why customer service is so important and how it can transform your sales efforts. If you're ready to take the next step in your service, whatever that might be, or you're looking for customized sales training or consulting, please visit us at recruitingsolutionsllc.com. That's recruitingsolutionsllc.com. You can leave a message with us there. You can also find me on LinkedIn and send me a message directly. And if you'd like to learn more about our book, The Art of Military Recruiting, Lessons Learned from the Recruiting Battlefield, please check it out on Amazon or on our website as well. Thank you for listening, and here's wishing you less stress and more success on the recruiting battlefield. Until next time.